this is gonna sound like a hippie thing, but create from your own perspective and
Yeah.
your uniqueness, because everyone is. I lived a different life. You lived a special life too. Everyone comes from different backgrounds, and that's the amazing part that people don't realize. Like your story is your brand, is your unique selling point. So if I have lost a lot of people in my life, so I learned to be more in touch with my feelings, and I can use that in my writing and how I approach people and speak to people. That's my unique selling point. When I speak to people, I can like read their emotions. I can really listen and try to understand what they're feeling, and that's huge, especially in ghostwriting. So you got to figure out, okay, how has my life been? How can I use my life as experience for my brand, basically? And a cool thing you can do here is actually write everything that's happened to you that you think are significant. And if you have a hard time, like, what's special about me? If you don't have a mother anymore, like I do, so who can tell you you're special because you're. You can ask AI. This is the perfect opportunity to use AI. Okay, I have studied this, I have done this, I have worked here, I'm married, I have children, and put it into AI and, okay, what's my unique selling point? Give me 10 examples here that I can use for my brand. And they will give you loads and loads. And you can just pick your favorites. Okay, this will be my core, basically.
So hi guys, this is Eamon and I'm back with another episode of Mindful Marketing, and today we have the amazing Victor with us, who's a ghostwriter for founders and coaches online. And today we have a very interesting topic to talk about, that is how to get noticed among millions of people online. So all over to you, Victor. What do you think is the main way to get noticed online? And what is noticed for you basically?
Oh, okay, that's an interesting question. When you start out, everything you want to have is be noticed. So that's the only thing you aim for, and you usually aim broad and try to attract everyone. But the more you create and the longer you stay in the game, the more focused you become on those you're trying to reach. So I do a service. So I am very focused on founders and coaches, those who need my service. But it's tricky when you start out. You, like I said, you want to reach as many as possible, and when you get to like a good flow where you have a good engagement, like you and me have now, you need to like narrow the focus down to what you're actually trying to achieve. So to get noticed, at first, it's just get out there, basically. Get out there and be yourself. And that's easy to say, like, what am I in like the branding sense. That's the hard part to figure out. But the best advice I can give is just start, and then you figure it out as you go. Which sounds like this is a very broad advice, Victor. I know, but once you start, you figure out, okay, it wasn't that bad. Okay, what do I need to practice on? I need to practice on my formatting, the writing, who I want to reach, and so the first hurdle and the first step is just starting, and then you will figure it out as you go. But the best way to get noticed is obviously doing more content and engagement with others. That's how I get noticed, Liz. I even made a document. This is a small insider tip here. You can use a Google Doc and the creators you like you and me, and engage with those accounts every day, basically. So I had like around 40, 50 that I checked in every day and engaged with, and they engaged back. And that's how I grew and got noticed. And then when I had a bigger following, I can narrow it down more to coaches and founders, which I have now. I do a little bit of a mix now because I still like to write for Viktor, that's one step behind, and for founders, basically. So I do a little bit of a mix just to keep it fresh. That was a long answer, but hopefully you can get something out of that.
That's great. That's great. No. So a lot of creators online, when they start, they actually get confused a lot. So what mistakes do you see that new creators are actually making online when they're starting off on especially LinkedIn?
Oh, that's I made all the mistakes you can think of. So I think the big thing is actually to be okay to make mistakes. You're gonna make
Yeah.
mistakes. That's what's holding many back, in my opinion. Like they are so afraid of the mistakes, but it's the mistake that teaches us what not to do, basically. But some common mistakes is if you're gonna use AI, which you probably should in some way. I use it for spell checking, getting ideas from the ideas. You can use it in so many ways. But if you're gonna use it for writing, I recommend you to double check everything and remove the AI part and add a bit of personality. I can always tell when it's AI written or human written, as I say. So that's a big one. It's easy to get a little bit lazy with AI, but the good news here is also if you're not lazy and do the little bit extra steps, you will highlight your brand in ways many won't. So
Yeah.
that's a small tip. And then we can sit for hours, you and me, and just talk about all the mistakes I made. But like I said, you need to have formatting is a big one,
Yeah.
because when you look at a block of text, I'm never gonna read that, and so is no one else.
Yeah.
So you need to like, okay, I have to make it so it's appealing to the eye, and then people will read. And there's so many layers, and that goes back to my first point. Be okay to make the mistakes and then learn from them.
That's
So
nice.
at first, maybe yeah. So I will also recommend double checking your hooks. Hooks is the first thing
Yeah.
people see. Like I know you're very good at them. I like to write them too and make it a little bit spicy. It's so much fun when you learn the layers of them and but if the hook isn't
Yeah.
connecting with people, they're not gonna read the post. That's the hard truth, basically. So that's the first thing I check when I help people is okay, what's their message, what's their hooks, and who they're trying to reach with those hooks. That's the most important part because, like I said, you can be broad with the hooks and attract a lot of people, but if you're hyper focused, you will attract those you want.
Yeah.
That's what I write about most days,
I
basically.
know.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's it. The biggest one will be okay to make mistakes, but learn from them.
That's great. So a
Long
lot of
story
people
short.
now are actually running out of like viral trends, and everyone wants to, just
Yep.
get viral. They want to have high engagement. So how do you think that creators can actually become memorable in between this? Like I've seen your post, you have a particular picture that you share, and it's in a particular style. So people know you for that.
Yep.
So that's one way that
Yep.
you became memorable. So how can actually other creators
Yep.
become memorable too as well?
That's a very good question. I think most I did too. I copied someone that you're impressed with or you want to be like. You copy their formatting, their style, their writing, but then at a certain point you realize I'm just living in their shadows. I'm like just like making their brand bigger, which is fine, but that's when you're like, okay, I can take the advice from the person that I'm very impressed with, and how can I use it? What's my experience? How can I highlight my qualities here? And that's where the fun begins because you add a bit more personality. Maybe you're a funny person in real life. You can use that in your
Yeah.
brand, and you start to add a little bit more personality in it. I know everyone says cut the fluff, like the extra things, but what if the extra things are the things that makes you you? You can't cut that, so why would you in the brand? But it's a lot of I read like 1 million advice a day on LinkedIn, and I know most of them now. Like I'm sure you do too. Like
Yeah.
cut the fluff, like do the hooks and everything. So I know them, but you got to realize, okay, how can I use it? What's the advice? Uh, if I look from my perspective, how can I use this advice to my advantage? Does it fit me? And that's the hard part. This is gonna sound like a hippie thing, but create from your own perspective and
Yeah.
your uniqueness, because everyone is. I lived a different life. You lived a special life too. Everyone comes from different backgrounds, and that's the amazing part that people don't realize. Like your story is your brand, is your unique selling point. So if I have lost a lot of people in my life, so I learned to be more in touch with my feelings, and I can use that in my writing and how I approach people and speak to people. That's my unique selling point. When I speak to people, I can like read their emotions. I can really listen and try to understand what they're feeling, and that's huge. especially in ghostwriting. So you got to figure out, okay, how has my life been? How can I use my life as experience for my brand, basically? And a cool thing you can do here is actually write everything that's happened to you that you think are significant. And if you have a hard time, like, what's special about me? If you don't have a mother anymore, like I do, so who can tell you you're special because you're. You can ask AI. This is the perfect opportunity to use AI. Okay, I have studied this, I have done this, I have worked here, I'm married, I have children, and put it into AI. And okay, what's my unique selling point? Give me 10 examples here that I can use for my brand. And they will give you loads and loads. And you can just pick your favorites. Okay, this will be my core, basically.
I've never done that. I'm thinking to do that as well after you've told me about it.
It's perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect. You
it's
can
fine.
use it for so much. Like, you can even use it for your own personal framework that you can sell. Basically, okay, I have my like feelings framework that stands for this, and it can like give you, okay, this is your selling point and everything. So it's much easier now than it was 10 years ago, I
Yeah,
can
that's
imagine.
very nice. So a lot of
Yeah.
people also talk about consistency online and posting
Yeah.
every day a week. So do you agree with that? Do you think that you should be posting every day a week, or is it 3 times also is okay, or maybe 1 time a week as well, as long as the message is meaningful?
Yeah, you basically said the right thing at the end. As long as the message is meaningful, that's what I think. You do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I started out doing 7 days a week. I then cut back to 6 days a week, and then 5 days a week I do now. Just because I want to keep the quality high. And when I started out, when I did 7 days, I didn't have that much engagement, believe it or not. I had 2 coworkers and my father maybe liking my posts for weeks. So it was no problem to post 7 days a week. But now it's I try to time slot my day for LinkedIn for about 2 hours, and then I have other stuff to do, and then I come back for like half an hour in the afternoon, and then I also time slotted my DMs for later in the evening when I do a little bit of writing. So long story short, do as much, but keep the quality. If it's 1 time a week, that's fine. If it's free, that's also fine. But if you see like your energy suffer or your quality, that's a sign to like, okay, maybe I should cut back. Because at some point, I've done this as well. I took 2 weeks off in Christmas just because I was just creating at this point. I didn't feel that I was making an impact. So I took 2 weeks off, realigned, okay, what's my goal and what's my purpose? And
Yeah.
I came back stronger, I think.
So today you talked
Yeah.
about your target audience as well, and identifying
Yeah.
who's your target audience. So what's your take on that as well? What are the foundations that new creators have to focus on before they start, producing and publishing content on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so there's 2 things. If you already know what you're gonna sell or what your brand is, you know who you want to reach, basically. But the thing is, should you niche it down or should you not niche it down? That's the big question. But
Yeah.
the more focused you are, the more you can help someone. So this goes back to your experience as well. Like, okay, I worked around 16 years in retail, so I could use that. Okay, maybe I can help retailers make an impact online. Maybe I should even do that. Who knows? So to find your target audience, you have to understand who you're trying to help or what you want to sell. You see people like Laura Costa. She sells a service, but she also sells products. So you would see her content is very broad. She's trying to appeal to a lot of people. And like I try to sell a service, I'm trying to appeal to a few people. So you got to understand you're not going to get the big numbers maybe, but that's fine as long as you get leads for the little ones. So don't be afraid to niche down and aim for a smaller audience that will make a big impact for them. That's the hard part. But to find them, if you have no idea who your target audience is, I would just recommend you to start and write for yourself or for just the writing's sake to get comfortable. And then you understand, okay, I kind of like writing for finance, which is a very good niche. Okay, maybe I should aim a little bit more for that. and learn a little bit more about it, the slang and how they speak, and you can go into that. But a big thing here also is you're not forced to stay in your niche. You can switch. If you
Yeah.
choose one and it feels like this is not what I want to do, you can switch. It's fine. Most do. Some of the big creators I follow like this switch almost every year I see, and I started to like, okay, maybe I should go to this because I like working with this kind of person. So if you have no idea, that's fine. Just create and you will find your path. If you still don't know, ask for guidance or use your experience where you have a what I call an information advantage, which for me would be retail because I work there.
So at what
And now
stage
it's
do you
branding and
think
ghostwriting.
that's nice? So at what stage do you think that we should start selling our products or maybe our services as well? Like for any new LinkedIn creator, once they have been posting, for example, for 3 months. So at what stage should they
Yep.
start selling and how should they actually sell their services on LinkedIn?
That's also a good question. And it's get asked a lot because the first hurdle is start posting. The
Yeah.
second is start selling and how to sell. So I and a friend of mine, Phil, we're very good try to highlight the social proof, which is basically selling.
Yeah.
So there's a few ways. If you have no clients, you will do free work. Is what I recommend. That's what I did. Do free work, but don't do too much.
Yeah.
Just go get those the testimonials, the proof that you have done work, and they're happy with the work, and you can use that to have proof, basically. Because I see it also every day, which is fine. You can say that I helped this, and that. But when you have like, I have proof, here's the DM, here's what we did, here's the plan, here's how we move forward. If a potential client reads that and see, oh, Victor knows exactly what he's talking about. This is what
Yeah.
I need. So you can do it in a more like, here's my service, here's what I do, here's the price, which is like right in your face. But or you can do it like most of us do here on LinkedIn. It's like, this is how I helped another client. This is the result they got, and this is what they say now. This is the before, and this is the after. You're trying to create a story where the potential clients see themselves in, and then you can just. I try to add a CTA, a call to action, in almost every post, but most of them they don't have to be like buy my services. It can be like, are you facing this problem? Maybe we should have a talk, or check my buy or featured to see if we can work together. You don't have to.
Yeah.
People can usually smell the desperation, so you're just trying to. Content is basically trying to get them to your profile, and then your profile should speak like proof, and this is how you can work with me.
That's
So
nice.
that's how I think about it.
That's
And back to social proof,
yeah.
just start there also. The sooner you start, the easier it gets. That's how it is. It's just a mental hurdle that usually we create for ourselves, that okay, I have to have this before I start, or this or this. But the thing is, you can start right away. You can start social selling right away.
Yeah.
And the sooner you do it, the more comfortable you will be with it, and the easier it will get. And then you will learn, okay, this post actually got me 2 leads. Why is that? Or maybe not even leads. You can check the profile visits. If, for example, when I do a more of a social proof or social selling post, I check the profile visits. Okay, there's 10% more founders. This is interesting. And as soon as they entered my profile, I know they're kind of interested, and I can shoot them a DM. That's basically a warm lead for me.
Yeah.
So that's how I view it. Start and get comfortable with it, and you will get better at it, basically.
That's great. So there's this misconception on LinkedIn that LinkedIn is only for founders and creators or freelancers, basically. So all of the other
Yep.
people, the corporate employees, they don't have their personal brand. So what's your take on that? Because you have also been in the corporate world for quite some time. So do you think that corporate employees should also have their personal brand outside their job as well?
To be honest, before I started creating, I didn't think you should have a brand. I didn't even know what the brand was. But as soon as I started creating, I saw the potential in it for basically anyone. If you're unhappy with your work and you work, let's say you work in finance and you're unhappy with your work, you can either start applying for work, or you can start writing about the work you're currently doing, and you can build a brand around it, and you get attention. You can even get your employee to see it and like, oh, Victor knows, he's building a brand around it. He knows what he's talking about. And you can get either better precision where you are, or you can get new offers. So either way, you will win, and you will have control over your future, which is the big one for me, because you take control over it. You create a brand around it. You can build a life around it, or a career around it.
Yeah.
So the hard part is getting people who don't know about branding, about the power of branding, which is basically what I'm trying to do when I'm selling my service.
Yeah.
But I truly believe it can help you in every single way to have a brand. And as we move on to the more digital world, I'm a little bit older, so I come from a world when I was young, we didn't even have internet almost. So as we move more to this digital world, a brand will have even more power than it has now, especially in the future, I think. So the first thing I do now when I look up a person, I check them online. Do they have a LinkedIn, a profile? And if they have, okay, I already trust them a little bit. I can read a little bit what they're saying and what they're doing. And there's huge power in that.
Yeah.
So yes, I think everyone should have a brand.
That's nice. So what do you think is the importance of storytelling? Because you talk a lot about content strategy, but one problem that a lot of creators face is, writing content, because not everyone is a content writer. So how do you
Yep.
think that people could actually shape their stories? Because a lot of people have good stories, but they don't know how to actually shape it and write the content. So what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so good point, because everyone has a story to tell, but it's hard to write it in a way that works for your brand. I see a lot of stories, I've done them myself too, that makes you feel something, but it doesn't really apply to your brand. It just makes you makes you more human, which is fine. But if you're there to sell something or get a service or meet people, you got to think like, okay, I got this story about how I lost my job, example, but how can this be important for my brand or for the people I'm trying to reach? Okay, you can make it an emotional story. You weave them in the story, and then you're like, okay, this is how I got through and found my dream life, and I can help you do the same. So you got to understand first, what's the point of the story and how does it affect my audience? And to write stories, like everything else, you have to. The more you do it, the easier it will get, which is not what you want to hear, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of frameworks that you can Google and look up for helping you. There's something called, my favorite is the hero story, where you have a struggle, you lost your job, and you were at your lowest point, but then you found something that switched it, and now you're like moving up again. So it's like a nice curve, and people usually, everyone goes through hard times, so the hero story is a perfect framework to use. So if you're unsure about how to write them, I will look up some frameworks and follow those to begin with. And then you learn, okay, my audience likes hero stories the most. Maybe I should do more stories like that. And then you realize, okay, how can I use stories, the next level, different levels. And how can I use stories to affect my audience to visit my profile and maybe work with me? How does it affect my audience? And that's the full circle. So get comfortable writing stories. You don't have to weave in the customers right away, but have that in a backlog for when you get better at it and more comfortable with it. That's what I would say.
So a lot
Yeah.
of creators also underestimate the importance of emotional intelligence, because there's so much amount of AI that we're using. So everyone wants to, produce how-to guides, sell online, but a lot of people do not have empathy or emotional intelligence when they're connecting with their audience. So how important do you think emotional intelligence is in personal branding, especially?
Oh, this is I always believed in emotional EQ, or what's it called, emotional
Yeah.
intelligence, because what I went through, so I know how important it is. And in branding, it's even more important because, like I said, we're moving to a digital world where we're more online. I talk to you now, but I can't really feel what you're feeling. We're not in the same room. So you got to understand, okay, how can I write to touch people's emotions? You can switch out certain words. You got to have, like I said, a red line in your stories or posts, like, okay, what feeling am I trying to give my readers? Am I doing that, or I'm just doing that for myself? So that's the hard part. And I can honestly say like emotional intelligence is the important part when you're trying to convert the client.
Yeah.
Because you can write, you can have the perfect post, the brand and everything, but if you can't connect with them on the call, there's no point. So I would say it's almost the most important quality for me personally, at least.
That's
Yeah.
great. So, how much do you think that getting noticed is linked to your mindset? Because, like, there are a lot of people who might be ghostwriters, but you are someone who gets noticed. Everyone knows Victor. Similarly, there's a lot of people who are in podcasting, but there are only few podcasters which actually get noticed. So, do you think that's all related to the mindset, or is it because our content quality is different from others?
First off, thank you for the compliment. uh, yeah. So, sorry, what was the question? I was with the compliment. I was get lost.
That's all right. So how much do you think that getting noticed is related to your mindset? Or do you
Mindset.
think
Yeah.
that,
Of course, it's important. And the thing about social is everyone thinks we live the perfect life, but in
yeah,
reality, we have it. It's just as rough for us as it is for anyone starting out, and it's even more rough because once you have like low days in engagement, you're like, okay, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? So mindset is the most important part, I would say. If you're thinking short term, you will have a rough time. I remember my first post, I posted it. I will get 100 likes, comments. It will be massive, and it was just a ghost town for weeks. But then I thought, like you said, mindset. Okay, this is the perfect opportunity to learn. Now I can make all the mistakes I want to, and no one will notice. I can write, I can do this, I can try different things, pictures. So I turned that negative into a positive. Okay, this is the perfect opportunity to learn. And when you think long term, I don't even look at the numbers anymore, which is easy for me to say because I
yeah,
have numbers. I understand that, but I don't look at them the same way I used to. I look at them when I do social selling posts, like, okay, who's visiting, commenting, am I getting those numbers? Otherwise, it's just another day for me. It's just another day.
yeah,
So, what mindset you should adopt is fail fast, learn fast, basically. And remember that everyone has rough days. It's not easy
yeah.
for the success you see someone have. It's built upon a lot of hard work and a lot of days where you question yourself. I still question myself almost weekly. So there's that too.
That's true,
So
actually.
don't be afraid.
Yeah, it happens
Yeah.
to everyone. So this brings us at the end of the podcast. Victor, it was lovely having you. So
Yeah.
at the end, I would like to ask you, what advice do you have for all of those creators who currently feel invisible online right now and they're struggling a lot?
I would say as long as you stay consistent, it will get better. And don't be too hard on yourself. Like I said, everyone has rough days. Everybody had a rough start. And what you see on social media isn't always the truth.
Yeah,
Everyone has it rough, and it will get better. I had 2 likes for weeks, and then it shifted, and then it started to gain traction. So learn and do more of what works for you. Look at the data, see if some posts works better than other. Do more of that, and then adapt and think long term. It will get better. You will get better, and you will meet amazing people along the way, which is the
yeah,
fun part.
that's
Yeah.
great. It was amazing having you, Victor. I hope you enjoyed as well.
Yeah, it was very fun. Very fun. My first podcast regarding
Oh,
branding
nice.
almost.
I'm
I'll be
lucky.
staying in the shadows. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.